Atheists are not the brightest bulbs. Someone needs to state the obvious. Atheism is a proposition targeted at easily influenced midwits. I'm not a religious person, but nevertheless, I am a creationist. Like old style creationist. None of that new age, fancy schmancy intelligent design thing. I really do believe God just literally clicked his fingers and the universe was created. I can't really point to the Bible for support. I never read the good book myself. Nobody ever dragged me to a church so I could hear the Mosaic account on how the world came about. It seems, according to them, God created the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh, but that's not what I believe. I base my fundamental creationist faith on Aristotle. The philosopher single handedly invented the Western idea of monotheism when he proposed the concept of an unmoved mover, which goes like this: everything that is in motion was set in motion by something else. If A is in motion, there must be a B that set A in motion. Then for B to be in motion, there must be a C, and so forth. Of course, this series cannot go forever, and you must come to a halt at an X, which is a cause for movement but does not move itself, an unmoved mover. Primary cause, the mover of all motion in the universe. Aristotle gave to this X the name God, which Aristotle described as being perfectly beautiful, indivisible, and contemplating only the perfect contemplation, self-contemplation. But in what sort of nonsense do atheists believe? First of all, we need to clarify one thing. Atheism is a religion. In fairness, 99% of self-professed atheists are actually agnostics. They are just not smart enough to realize that. The other 1% are just the clinically insane. And why is atheism a religion and agnosticism not? When you're an atheist, you're expressing a profound belief in something that you cannot prove scientifically, and that's called faith. Agnostics, on the other hand, don't feel the urge to talk about God. Saying that the universe was created by no God has the same scientific value as saying the universe was created by a particular God. To agnostics, there's no God, happy days, nothing to see here. If there's a God, well, happy days as well. He then created the universe together with the second law of thermodynamics. So, by entropy, there's not enough information in the universe for us to fathom God. So let's just not worry about him, they say. But in what do atheists believe if they say they don't believe in anything? Well, after not thinking too much, I came up with the three tenets of the atheist religion. Number one, the universe is eternal. Number two, we're all here by pure chance and have no free will. And number three, something can actually be created from nothing. So let's look at these tenets in more detail. Number one, the universe is eternal. Once upon a time, the scientific consensus was that the universe had always been. Since the universe was eternal, there was no need for a creator. Atheists everywhere rejoiced, with Nietzsche going as far as affirming that time was indeed circular, so there was no beginning and no end. God was written out of history. Until along came a Catholic priest named George Lemaitre and proved that they were wrong. Indeed, both time and universe had a starting point. The Big Bang Theory was a massive score for religion. Since the universe was not eternal anymore, it might be that there was a moment of creation after all. Yet, atheists passively rejected science on this one, since it does not particularly align with the religious fundamentalist views. Number two, we're all here by pure chance and have no free will. That's supposed to be a corollary from Darwin's ideas of evolution through natural selection, including random mutations. We are nothing more than a clump of cells that arrived at our current shape through multiple permutations of stardust over 14 billion years. Our thoughts, they are nothing more than electric impulses and chemical reactions in our brain. The beauty and complexity of our planet, well, one in the midst of billions and billions of planets out there, would have to end up like this anyway. Or as Bertrand Russell so elegantly puts, that man is the product of causes which had no prevision of the end they were achieving, that his origin, his growth, his hopes and fears, his loves and his beliefs are but the outcome of accidental collocations of atoms, that no fire, no heroism, no intensity of thought and feeling can preserve an individual life beyond the grave, that all the labors of the ages, all the devotion, all the inspiration, all the noonday brightness of human genius are destined to extinction in the vast death of the solar system, and that the whole temple of man's achievement must inevitably be buried beneath the debris of a universe in ruins. All these things, if not quite beyond dispute, are yet so nearly certain that no philosophy which rejects them can hope to stand. Only within the scaffolding of these truths, only on the firm foundation of unwieldy despair, can the soul's salvation henceforth be safely built. Yeah, he did say so, nearly certain. Now, number three, something can actually be created from nothing. Again, we call on Bertrand Russell, this time on the Russell teapot analogy, which he describes again rather elegantly. Many Orthodox people speak as though it were the business of skeptics to disprove received dogmas rather than of dogmatists to prove them. This is, of course, a mistake. If I were to suggest that between the Earth and Mars there is a china teapot revolving about the Sun in an elliptical orbit, nobody would be able to disprove my assertion, provided I were careful to add that the teapot is too small to be revealed even by our most powerful telescopes. But if I were to go on to say that since my assertion cannot be disproved, it is intolerable presumption on the part of human reason to doubt it, I should rightly be thought to be talking nonsense. If, however, the existence of such a teapot were affirmed in ancient books, taught as the secret truth every Sunday, and instilled into the minds of children at school, hesitation to believe in its existence would become a mark of eccentricity and entitle the doubter to the attention of the psychiatrist in an enlightened age or of the inquisitor in an earlier time. This is, of course, a clear fallacy. See, at the very basic level, science starts with a phenomenon. Once there is a clearly defined phenomenon, we then go about trying to explain, replicate, or predict it by using the scientific method. Russell never addresses this core question. Does his teapot project a shadow that is observable on the surface of the moon? If there's no phenomenon, there's no reason to believe in it in the first place. Whereas creationists, there are three phenomena that are associated with the existence of a creator. Number one, the creation of the universe. Number two, the creation of life. And number three, the creation of the human psyche. I'm abundantly aware that you don't need to believe in a creator to accept the Big Bang theory as an explanation for the origin of the universe. However, the existence of a creator, a supernatural intelligence behind the Big Bang, solves one very important problem. In the absence of a creator, the Big Bang violates both the law of conservation of mass and the law of conservation of energy. And that's quite the pickle for atheists. Then comes the question of where does life come from? Again, the options in the absence of a creator are not very enthusing. So the first port of call for atheists is the theory of evolution, which works very well, except it stops short of explaining the origins of life. One species comes from another, which comes from another, to a point where you necessarily arrive at a being that comes from nowhere, an unmoved mover. In the absence of it, atheists would have you believe a rock gave birth to a living organism. Finally, the human psyche. Some might call it free will or soul, the totality of the human mind, as Freud would say, the image of God in which we were made, the religious. This set of cognitive abilities that set us apart from animals, allowing us to have original thoughts, appreciate the arts and culture, engage in complex communication, understand, create, and destroy all things on earth. Wait, there's no free will, no creativity, no reason for the mind or the soul, only a brutish, deterministic world where we have no higher purpose than to respond to the stimuli of a hostile environment until we eventually disappear, swallowed by the same stardust whose whole cycle would have been proven just as inconsequential as any of us. And that is dumb as hell. If you're interested in more content like this, please like the video, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. Bye!